When the sun rises and the stillness of morning settles around you, there is a sacred invitation waiting, a call to align your heart before the noise of the world begins. In these first quiet moments, seek the one who already sees the path ahead, the challenges waiting, the victories prepared, and the strength you will need to walk through every hour. Begin by lifting your thoughts heavenward, not because God is far, but because your heart needs to be reminded that He is near, steady, and unshaken. As you whisper your first prayer of the day, let it be a surrender, not of defeat, but of trust. Trust that the one who holds galaxies in His hands is also holding your day, your concerns, your uncertainties, and your hopes. Ask for clarity where confusion tries to take root. Ask for peace where anxiety threatens to steal your breath. Ask for courage to face what you'd rather avoid, and for wisdom to respond instead of react. Invite heaven's perspective into your earthly moments so that you don't simply endure the day ahead. You move through it with purpose, with intention, and with the quiet confidence that you are not walking alone. There is strength available before you even take your first step, grace prepared before you speak your first word, and guidance ready before you make your first decision. Let your morning prayer also be a declaration. Speak life over your home, your family, your work, and your thoughts. Declare that no matter what comes, you will choose gratitude over grumbling, faith over fear, and obedience over impulse. Declare that today is not controlled by your past or by your worries, but by the God who renews mercy every single morning. Let your heart rise with expectation, knowing that even in ordinary moments, extraordinary things can unfold when God is invited into them. And as you pray, ask for the humility to listen. Sometimes the most powerful part of prayer is not what you say, but what you hear, gentle nudges, quiet reminders, subtle redirections that shape your steps long before you realize it. Begin your day with a heart that is open, a spirit that is willing, and a faith that believes today is worth praying for. Here are 5 meaningful keynotes from the speech. Start your morning by aligning your heart with God, acknowledging His presence before the noise and pressures of the day begin. Prayer is an act of trust, surrendering your worries, decisions, and uncertainties to the one who holds the details of your day. Ask for clarity, peace, courage, and wisdom, inviting heaven's perspective into every moment so you move through your day with purpose. Declare life, faith, and gratitude over your day, choosing to walk in expectation, strength, and intentionality rather than fear or negativity. Listen, during prayer, recognizing that God often guides through quiet whispers, gentle nudges, and subtle redirections that shape your steps. When the morning light begins to filter through your window, it brings with it more than just the start of a new day. It carries the opportunity to set the tone for everything that follows. In these early moments, before your mind is crowded with tasks, responsibilities, and the endless demands of the world, there is a sacred invitation to pause and center yourself. To begin your day by aligning your heart with God is not simply a ritual. It is a deliberate choice to place your life, your thoughts, and your actions under His guidance. The world will clamor for your attention, but the first moments of the day belong to Him. By taking time to quiet your spirit and speak to God, you establish a foundation that cannot be shaken by external pressures. This alignment is about more than just asking for help. It is about acknowledging who He is and who you are in Him. Recognizing that your strength and wisdom are not self-generated but flow from a source far greater than yourself. Starting your day in this way cultivates a mindset of intentionality. When your heart is centered on God before the chaos begins, you begin to see your circumstances differently. Challenges are no longer overwhelming because they are filtered through the lens of His guidance. Decisions become clearer because your priorities are aligned with His purpose rather than fleeting impulses. By consciously inviting God into your morning, you create a rhythm in your life that allows His presence to influence your thoughts, words, and actions long before the world can dictate your responses. This is not about avoiding life's difficulties, but about approaching them with a confidence that comes from knowing you are not navigating them alone. When your heart is aligned with God, the uncertainties of the day are met with a grounded sense of peace, and your spirit is fortified against the distractions and anxieties that would otherwise consume your attention. The act of aligning your heart is also deeply transformative. It shapes your character and cultivates virtues that extend far beyond the morning hours. When you intentionally place God at the center of your day, gratitude begins to take root, replacing complaints with appreciation for the life you have been given. Patience emerges as you remember that His timing is perfect and that you do not need to rush or force outcomes. Humility grows as you recognize your dependence on Him and the insufficiency of your own strength. Each of these qualities strengthens your ability to navigate the day with grace and integrity, influencing not only your own life but also the lives of those around you. By starting the day with a focused heart, you are laying the groundwork for a life that reflects God's love, wisdom, and purpose in every interaction and decision. Morning alignment also serves as a shield. The pressures and temptations of the day are less likely to sway a heart that has already turned toward God. When you begin with prayer, reflection, and intentionality, you create an inner fortitude that allows you to stand firm in the face of challenges. The distractions that normally derail focus, stress, fear, or frustration lose their power because your heart is already anchored in something far greater. This does not mean that problems will disappear, but it does mean that you have prepared yourself to respond with clarity, patience, and faith. Aligning your heart in the morning is like calibrating a compass. It ensures that no matter what storms or detours arise, your direction remains true and steady. Prayer is far more than a routine or a series of words spoken out of habit. It is an act of trust that requires the heart to step beyond its comfort zones and acknowledge a power greater than itself. When you surrender your worries, your decisions, and your uncertainties to God, you are making a conscious choice to stop relying solely on your own understanding and strength. This surrender is not a sign of weakness, but a declaration of faith, an acknowledgement that the burdens you carry and the paths you navigate are not meant to be managed by human effort alone. By entrusting your day to Him, you are opening the door for guidance, wisdom, and support that you could never generate on your own. The act of surrendering in prayer is transformative because it shifts the focus from your limitations to His limitless power, from anxiety to assurance, and from fear to faith. When you release your worries in prayer, it allows your mind to stop circling endlessly around problems that often feel insurmountable. Instead of trying to control every outcome or predict every obstacle, you begin to trust that God has a plan for each moment, each decision, and each interaction you will face. This trust is not passive. It requires an active choice to place confidence in God's timing, wisdom, and provision. It is in this surrender that clarity begins to emerge. You may not immediately see the solutions to your challenges, but a calmness settles in your spirit, allowing you to approach life with a renewed perspective. By recognizing that you are not alone in carrying your burdens, prayer transforms anxiety into peace and uncertainty into patient expectation. Surrendering your decisions in prayer is equally powerful. Life constantly presents choices that can feel overwhelming, from simple daily tasks to life-altering decisions. By bringing these matters before God, you invite divine wisdom to guide your thoughts and actions. This does not mean that every decision will be easy or that the right path is always immediately apparent, but it does mean that your choices are no longer made in isolation. When your heart is surrendered, you become more attuned to subtle guidance, gentle nudges, and the inner promptings that align with God's will. Decisions begin to carry a sense of purpose as they are filtered through the lens of a higher perspective rather than fleeting emotions or pressure from the world. Prayer as surrender also involves entrusting your uncertainties, the areas of life that feel unpredictable, unstable, or frightening. Whether it is concerns about health, finances, relationships, or personal growth. Giving these uncertainties to God is an act of faith that acknowledges His sovereignty. It is a recognition that while you may not control the outcomes, you can rely on the one who does. This act of trust strengthens the spirit, cultivating resilience and hope even in the face of trials. The more consistently you practice this surrender, the more your heart learns to rest in the knowledge that God is actively working in your life, orchestrating events and preparing opportunities that align with His perfect plan. By surrendering worries, decisions, and uncertainties through prayer, you are essentially inviting God to take the lead in your day. Your role becomes one of listening, responding, and walking in faith, while His role is to guide, protect, and provide. The act of trust deepens over time, creating a rhythm where prayer is not just a request for help, but a continual exchange of faith, dependence, and alignment. Surrendering in prayer reshapes your heart, strengthens your spirit, and opens your life to the transformative power of God's presence in every moment. As the day unfolds, it is natural for challenges and decisions to arise that test our patience, wisdom, and inner peace. By intentionally asking for clarity, peace, courage, and wisdom in prayer, we invite a higher perspective to shape how we respond to every circumstance. Clarity is often the first gift of such a prayer, because when the mind is clouded by confusion, stress, or conflicting priorities, it becomes difficult to see the path forward. Asking for clarity is an act of humility and recognition that our own understanding is limited. It is a way of acknowledging that guidance beyond our own insight is available and necessary. With clarity, decisions that once seemed overwhelming or choices that felt tangled in uncertainty begin to unfold with surprising simplicity. Even in the midst of complex situations, a mind aligned with God's perspective can discern what matters most and what steps should be taken first. Peace is another essential element that flows from prayer. Life is rarely free from tension, setbacks, or unexpected events, and without a sense of peace, it is easy to be swept away by worry or frustration. By asking for peace, we are not seeking a life devoid of difficulty, but the ability to remain grounded amidst it. Peace in this context is a steadiness of spirit that allows us to act thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. It is the inner calm that enables a person to carry responsibilities with composure and respond to adversity with measured patience. When peace is invited into our hearts at the start of the day, it sets a tone that carries through every interaction, every task, and every decision, preventing external pressures from dictating our emotional state. Courage is a further gift that prayer can unlock. There are moments in every day when fear, doubt, or hesitation threaten to hold us back from doing what is right or necessary. Courage in prayer is a request for the strength to face those moments with resolve, to take steps forward even when the outcome is uncertain, and to act with integrity even when challenges loom large. It is a recognition that the heart can be strengthened through connection with God, providing the confidence to navigate difficulties that might otherwise seem insurmountable. Courage transforms fear into action and allows us to step into responsibilities, opportunities, or confrontations that require boldness and faith. Wisdom completes the quartet of requests that shape a life aligned with purpose. Wisdom is more than knowledge. It is the ability to discern the right path in the context of both the immediate situation and the larger plan of life. Asking for wisdom in prayer is a plea for insight that balances prudence with boldness, understanding with action, and compassion with firmness. Wisdom guides decisions, protects from unnecessary mistakes, and illuminates paths that are often hidden from the eyes of human reasoning. It is the practical application of divine understanding to daily life, helping to navigate relationships, responsibilities, and the moral complexities that arise each day. When clarity, peace, courage, and wisdom are sought in prayer, they work together to create a framework for purposeful living. Each request supports the others, Clarity allows decisions to be made with confidence. Peace provides calmness to execute them effectively. Courage gives strength to follow through. And wisdom ensures that actions are guided by discernment. This combination transforms ordinary days into intentional journeys, where choices are made with thoughtfulness, challenges are met with resilience, and each moment carries a sense of divine alignment. By asking for these gifts at the start of the day, the believer invites guidance, strength, and insight to permeate every aspect of life, shaping not only actions but attitudes and responses in ways that reflect a heart tuned to God's perspective. To declare life, faith, and gratitude over your day is to take an active role in shaping your perspective before the events of the day can shape it for you. When the morning begins, our hearts and minds are like a blank canvas, capable of being filled with hope, intention, and purpose. Speaking life into your day is a conscious act of affirming that good, meaningful, and productive experiences are possible. It is not merely optimism, it is a declaration that your actions, choices, and interactions can be guided by divine influence rather than circumstances or the negativity that often surrounds us. By intentionally declaring life over your work, relationships, and responsibilities, you set a tone that invites positivity, growth, and constructive energy to flow through everything you do. This declaration is a reminder to yourself and to the spiritual forces at work around you that your day is meant to be purposeful and directed by higher principles. Faith plays a central role in these declarations, serving as the bridge between intention and reality. Faith is not simply believing that good things might happen. It is trusting that God is actively working in your life, orchestrating events and opportunities according to His plan. By declaring faith over your day, you reinforce the conviction that you are not alone in navigating challenges, and that even in moments of uncertainty, there is a divine presence guiding your steps. Faith provides strength in situations where human understanding falters, giving courage to act even when outcomes are unclear. When you declare faith, you are choosing to walk with confidence, believing that obstacles are temporary and that solutions and guidance will appear through divine timing. It reshapes your response to adversity, turning potential discouragement into resilience, fear into boldness, and doubt into trust. Gratitude is the third essential element of this morning declaration. When gratitude is expressed at the beginning of the day, it shifts your focus from what is lacking to what has already been given. This shift in perspective changes the way you perceive your circumstances, helping you recognize blessings, opportunities, and sources of support that might otherwise go unnoticed. Gratitude fosters humility, reminding you that the good in your life is not solely the result of personal effort, but also the work of a loving and attentive God. It cultivates joy and contentment, creating a sense of abundance even in seasons of difficulty. By speaking gratitude over your family, your work, and your life, you prepare your heart to receive more, not through entitlement, but through acknowledgement and appreciation for the gifts already present. Declaring life, faith, and gratitude over your day also serves as a shield against negativity. The world is filled with distractions, pressures, and influences that can easily pull your heart away from peace and purpose. By starting your day with intentional declarations, you establish a spiritual and mental framework that strengthens resilience. You are more likely to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, to see opportunities rather than obstacles, and to act with integrity rather than compromise. These declarations are like a compass, orienting your spirit toward hope, strength, and divine alignment. They create a rhythm in which your thoughts, words, and actions are consistently filtered through principles that honor God, support others, and reflect your higher purpose. This practice transforms ordinary moments into opportunities for intentional living, infusing every interaction with meaning and every choice with significance. Prayer is not only an opportunity to speak, but also a sacred moment to listen. In the quiet of the morning, when the distractions of the world are minimal, there is a unique chance to attune your heart and mind to the subtle guidance that often goes unnoticed in the rush of daily life. Listening during prayer requires patience, humility, and a willingness to be still. It is in this stillness that the whispers of wisdom, gentle nudges of direction, and quiet affirmations of purpose become perceptible. Too often, hearts are preoccupied with requests and concerns, leaving little room to perceive the ways in which God may be guiding, correcting, or encouraging. By cultivating a posture of listening, you create space for insight, understanding, and alignment with the divine will, allowing your steps to be influenced by guidance far greater than your own reasoning. Listening in prayer also develops discernment, helping to distinguish between fleeting thoughts and meaningful prompts. Life is filled with noise, internal anxieties, external pressures, and conflicting advice that can cloud judgment and obscure clarity. Through intentional listening, you begin to recognize patterns and subtle cues that provide direction for decisions, relationships, and actions. Sometimes guidance comes in the form of an inner peace about a choice or an instinctive pull toward a certain path. Other times, it may arrive through reflection, scripture, or the counsel of others, triggered by the heart being in a receptive state. Listening allows these messages to be received and interpreted with patience and faith, ensuring that the heart responds rather than reacts, and that each step is measured and purposeful. Another dimension of listening in prayer is the awareness of timing. Often, answers or insights are not immediate, and the heart must learn the discipline of waiting. This waiting cultivates trust as you learn to rely not on immediate resolution but on God's perfect timing. In moments of uncertainty, listening trains the heart to remain attentive, to recognize subtle confirmations, and to act only when clarity aligns with purpose. The ability to wait without anxiety is a skill strengthened through consistent prayer, as the heart becomes accustomed to seeking guidance before making decisions or responding to circumstances. Listening, therefore, is not passive. It is an active engagement that requires focus, patience, and openness to divine influence. Listening during prayer also fosters deeper intimacy and connection. Prayer is a conversation, and like any meaningful conversation, it requires both speaking and hearing. By listening, the heart communicates readiness to receive, respect for guidance, and a commitment to alignment with God's will. This two-way dialogue transforms prayer from a mere ritual into a dynamic interaction that shapes character, informs choices, and strengthens faith. Through listening, the believer begins to perceive the nuanced ways God communicates through Scripture, inspiration, circumstance, and even the quiet conviction within the soul. It is a process that deepens spiritual maturity, reinforces trust, and strengthens the capacity to navigate life with discernment and purpose. Ultimately, listening in prayer trains the heart to respond with obedience, wisdom, and courage. The act of hearing and recognizing divine guidance allows for timely and intentional action. It reduces impulsive decisions, mitigates confusion, and enhances the ability to act with confidence in alignment with a higher purpose. By consistently practicing attentive listening in prayer, the believer develops a heightened awareness of the ways God works in daily life, learns to recognize opportunities that might otherwise be missed, and cultivates the ability to move through the world with a spirit attuned to guidance, direction, and divine influence. As you embrace the practice of beginning each day with prayer, you are not merely performing a routine, you are choosing a life of intentionality, purpose, and alignment with the one who holds every moment in his hands. Prayer shapes your perspective, strengthens your spirit, and equips your heart to navigate challenges with clarity, peace, courage, and wisdom. It allows you to declare life, faith, and gratitude over your day, inviting divine guidance into every decision, interaction, and step you take. When you take the time to listen to hear the subtle promptings and gentle nudges, you open yourself to a partnership with God that transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary opportunities. This practice cultivates resilience, insight, and a steadfast hope that no matter what unfolds, you are never walking alone. Begin each morning with prayer, and watch as your life is directed, your choices guided, and your heart strengthened in ways that go far beyond what you could accomplish on your own.